تحت جنبه. It is a lamp in that dark grave where we have to be buried under the mud and the earth. It is a lamp in his grave. It is a mattress to make him comfortable in his grave. During our lifetimes it was all this. After our death it is all this. This is not enough still. When we die, it's fearful. We'll enter the graves and suddenly two huge, enormous, fierce-looking angels come to ask us about our faith and our deeds. وَجَوَابٌ عَلَى مُنْكِرٍ وَنَكِيرٍ وَمُونِسٌ وَزَائِرٌ فِي قَبْرِهِ إِلَىٰ يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. It is a response to Munkar and Nakir when they come to ask you. It is someone who will visit you in that darkness of the grave. It is someone who will keep you company. When? Until when? Until the day of judgment. What is it? Salatul Layl. Until the day of judgment. Is this enough now? During the life it was this. At the time of death and in the qabr it is this. Is this enough? Not enough? Not enough. وَإِذَا كَانَ يَوْمُ الْقِيَامَةِ كَانَ ظِلًّا فَوْقَهُ وَتَاجًا عَلَى رَأْسِهِ. When the day of judgment finally comes, it is a shade over his head on that terrible day. When everyone will feel the heat of that day, it is a shade over him. And it is a crown on his head in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How honored is such a person who does what? Salatul Layl. Is this not enough? Not enough. وَلِبَاسًا عَلَى بَدَنِهِ وَنُورًا يَسْعَى بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. It is a clothes he will be clothed with while others come out of their graves naked and humiliated. He will be clothed with Salatul Layl. He will have a light in front of his face leading him on. Not enough. وَسِتْرًا بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ النَّارِ وَحُجَّةٌ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. It is a barrier between him and the hellfire. So he will never enter it. He's got a barrier. It is a proof and an evidence between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Salatul Layl. And finally, as if all this wasn't enough, from our lives to our qabr, now the day of judgment, finally we have to reach our goal, we have to finish this journey. Finally, what is it? وَثِقْلًا فِي الْمِيزَانِ وَجَوَازًا عَلَى الصِّرَاطِ وَمِفْتَاحًا لِلْجَنَّةِ. It is that thing which will weigh your scale of deeds down on the good side. If you have nothing else, you have this. It is something which, when I'm walking that sirat, that bridge to reach heaven, which is thinner than a hair and sharper than a sword for some people, it is my pass, free pass on this bridge to get to the other side. When I get to the other side, will I be able to enter? I have the keys in my hand to the paradise, Salatul Layl. We must act upon these things, and inshallah we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us tawfiq to act upon these things. And remember, if you feel our stomachs, we can't act upon these things. If we withdraw ourselves from tafakkur and tadabbur, we can't act upon these things. So quickly to cover the points we've covered so far today. The Quran and the narrations are constantly highlighting the importance of pondering and deliberating and reflecting. This pondering is essential, imperative, especially for the kind of lives we live here in the West, Canada, USA, UK, like robots. We need to take a time out and reflect. Number 3, pondering and reflecting allows a person to see his or her own strengths and weaknesses. And before we know our weaknesses, we cannot improve, we cannot rectify ourselves before we know what's wrong with us, before we look in that mirror of tafakkur. Number 4, hunger purifies the thought process, and a full stomach prevents and corrupts this thought process from being pure, from me being able to look in my mirror properly and seeing a good reflection, seeing an accurate reflection. 5thly, the consistency of having a full stomach harms the heart and is detested by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is hated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Number 6, a full stomach makes a person sleepy, while the night time is the most important time to go to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, we looked at the unimaginable, unfathomable benefits and merits of the night prayer, Salatul Layl. So we come here then to remember that person who was part of that family, who never left these issues of tafakkur, who never left these issues of Salatul Layl. They were the princes and the princesses of Salatul Layl. When Hussein alayhi salam had no one else from his companions left, it is narrated that the first person from his family to come forth and ask permission to go toward the battlefield was his own son, his own youthful son, the fruit of his loins, Ali al-Akbar, the vision of Rasulullah. ولما لم يبق مع الحسين عليه السلام إلا أهل بيته أول من تقدم إلى البراز والمبارزة علي الأكبر. The first one to come forward and say, I want to go. فاستأذن أباه. He came and asked his father permission to go forward. Imagine the eyes of this father. His youthful son, the fruits of his own doing, is coming to him, Father, can I go forth and die for Islam? Imagine the eyes of this person, imagine the heart of this person. Hussein allowed him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go forth. But he wept and he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he complained to him. He said, Allahumma, I make you a witness that this young son of mine is going towards the battlefield to fight these people. This is the person who resembles the Prophet of Allah most in his looks, in his etiquette, in his speech. And whenever we wanted to look on the face of Rasulullah, we would look at him to remember the Prophet.